It is time now for our Saturday Throwback, when we blow the dust off those old tapes in our News 4 archives. Today, we pull out a report that originally aired in early January of 1978. Now, the winter of 77-78 was a pretty bad one, so longtime News 4 reporter Herb Humphreys went out to the National Weather Bureau to look at the business of forecasting the weather. This was when the Weather Bureau was in St. Peter's. Here's Herb's report from January of 1978.
No matter what the information on these maps might show, whether it's rain or sleet or snow or sunshine, it's always short-sleeve weather here at the Weather Bureau in St. Peter's. Even though they're comfortable, the night people here work long and hard to let you know about this time of the evening, what the weather's going to be when you get ready to leave your house in the morning. Just how does it all go together?
Experience has a great deal to do with it, I guess. And after you've seen it develop different times and behind what went into it, and then the guidance that the computer, how it handled the previous situation and how the previous situation developed and turned out, you begin to get a sort of a feel as to what's coming, and when you see certain developments take place.
Now, I know you don't particularly like to talk about it too much, but there's no question that on occasions you guys at the Weather Bureau do miss the mark. And what I'd like to know is, how do you feel about that? Do you feel sheepish, or are you going to expect a lot of ribbing from your friends, or just what happens when you miss?
Well, I tell them that they're surprised, and what do they think we are? Because we had reason to believe it was that way, we wouldn't have said so. So we're more surprised than they are, actually.
Yes, occasionally the folks out here do give you a bum steer. But traditionally, they're 85 to 90% accurate, and that's a pretty good record. Herb Humphreys reporting on Night People.
What a great flashback there. I know Kristen's over in the Weather Center watching this one with a pretty close eye. Again, that report back in January of 1978. Now, the Weather Service moved from St. Peter's to Weldon Spring in 1990, but the dome that housed the radar, commonly known as the Ray Dome, can still be seen at the old location off Mexico Road. If you're wondering, the Weather Service tells us there's no longer any radar in the dome. Now, as you might imagine, the Weather Service has changed quite a bit since Herb's report there. The office is now fully computerized, making heavy use of satellite data and Doppler radar, which was not around back in 1978. And it's no longer called the Weather Bureau. It's now properly referred to as the local branch of the National Weather Service. Now, we also found one other interesting report from Herb from that same period, early January 1978. And in this short clip, Herb had a little fun in Normandy, where there was a little problem with one of the city's signs.
Normandy, Missouri, located along busy Highway 70, but nonetheless a peaceful, quiet community of about 7,000 happy souls. There are 2 elementary schools, a parochial school, part of one university, and all of another in Normandy, a place certainly of learning. And when you ask the old-timers how to spell it, they'll tell you it's spelled just like the province in France of the same name, because one of the original settlers who came in 1803 said it looked like that part of the old world. But probably the guy who painted the sign that says you're in Normandy was not a member of the community, didn't go to school here, and probably had never been to France either, because he spelled it a little bit differently. Normandy. Herb Humphreys reporting from Normandy. Now back to the newsroom.
Oh, oops. Now, Herb Humphreys worked here at Channel 4 for 20 years, starting in 1974. He was well known for his no-frills, hard news reporting, but he often shared a humorous take on the day's events, just as we saw there in that clip about that sign in Normandy. Herb died in 2003 at his home in Texas.